Hey, everybody. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast, sponsored by Underdog, Rival Fantasy, and Vivid Seats. It's Thursday, November 9th. I'm Doc. He's Rick. We've got a lot to talk about after a 14-game night that saw several key players go down with injuries. So let's get to it, Rick.
It's the OGs at your service. Make comments, guys. Get on in here, make comments. We'll be answering your questions later on. It's Rick Hamlet. It's Steve Alexander. GOATs, OGs, reacting to a 14-game night in the NBA. Holy cow. So I go through all the news. I watch all the games. I got, I go through the box scores and stuff that just catches my eye. I mean, we're not going to get to it all. But we're going to get to as much of it as we can. But last night was one of the biggest nights of the entire year in the NBA, 14 games. Let's start, Steve, with Tyler Herro blowing a tire, ankle injury. He's already talking about missing a couple of weeks. Kyle Lowry took off last night, 17 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, throwback game for the future Hall of Famer. And he's on waivers, or was. I haven't checked it this morning, in the Cam Dynasty, the Dynasty League that we're both in, that I run. I messed around with Lowry early. It's just nickels and dimes, right? It's 5 points, it's 5 rebounds, it's 6 assists, 1 steal, 1 3. I can't work with that, okay? So now we get this spike game from Lowry in Herro's injury game. So is this just a one-game anomaly, Dr. A, or are you believing in Kyle Lowry right now, and are you going to pick him up?
I don't know if it's a one-game anomaly or not. I'm not picking him up. He's like 38 years old, 36, 50. Might as well be 56 at this point.
Why you age shaming, man? Come on, we're the OGs, bro.
And then last year, he just was never reliable. He was never around. I just can't, man. That 17, 11, and 9 is tempting. But honestly, there's another old guy I'd rather pick up, and his name's Reggie Jackson. We'll talk about him later. I'd rather pick up Duncan Robinson, who played 35 minutes last night. I'd rather have one of those two guys than Lowry, honestly.
Very interesting. I'd have my eye on Duncan Robinson, out of the rotation last year, played his way back into the rotation in the playoffs. He's been coming off the bench, playing about half the game, making 2+ threes per game. You're not going to get other goodies. He's a specialist, right? Like Tim Hardaway Jr., if you need points and threes, then go get him. And if you need other stuff, then he's not your guy. I agree with you, Steve. There are guys, and we'll get to Reggie here in just a second. I would rather have Reggie Jackson than Kyle Lowry. I can't get with it, man. I can't. I feel like the next game for Kyle Lowry is going to be 8 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal, and 1 3. Right? Yeah. Okay, I see the line, but again, that's not. And the shooting is going to be low for Kyle Lowry. He's not an efficiency guy. He's going to kill you with the field goal percentage. I need to see more is where I'm at. So let's move on to Reggie Jackson here. When I saw this headline, I was like, what? That Jamal Murray is going to miss the rest of the month, right? I mean, we've got 3 weeks left in this month. That was just weird to me. We're not getting he's going to miss 2 to 4 weeks. He's going to miss the rest of this month. And that's a buzzkill. And I don't know how much of it is bubble wrap, how much of it is actual injuries. Obviously, the guy's dinged up here with this hamstring injury. It's going to keep him out. Reggie Jackson, guys, get him now. He is rostered in 12% of Yahoo leagues. 12%. And this was his third start last night, taking over for Jamal Murray. He had 20 points, 6 assists, 3 threes last night. In 3 starts for Murray, he's gone 16 points, 7 points, and 20 points, and 7 of 16 on threes, which is, I think, 44%. So I think Reggie Jackson, he's not like a league winner pickup here, Steve, but over the next month or so, I think you're going to get some goodies from Reggie. So sing the people a song about the old head Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, Kreitz and I were talking about this on Tuesday. You're not going to get a lot of steals. You're not going to get blocks. He's sort of like Kyle Lowry, juiced up Kyle Lowry, I guess. So it's not like he's going to win your league for you and change the game. But the fact that you were talking about Jamal Murray is out through November. Didn't what's his name have a song about that, Rick? The dude from the Fugees?
I don't know really much about that. I thought you were going with Axl Rose and November Rain. That's where I thought you were going.
Wyclef John or Gene or whatever. He has a song called Gone Till November.
Okay.
I guess that's Jamal Murray's new theme song. And it is weird that Woj worded it as, or Malone is like, oh no, he's out through November. Like, that's the first time I've ever seen a coach use a month to say that the guy's out. Anyway, we know that Reggie Jackson is the only guy they have to start at point guard when Jamal Murray's hurt. And Reggie Jackson still has a chip on his shoulder, still loves to play NBA basketball, still seems to have fire and passion. I just like the fact he gets out there and goes after it. And I think he's going to put up solid numbers until December.
I agree. You're looking at guys probably 15 points, 5 assists, 1.9 threes per game, maybe a steal per game. Again, it's not league winner stuff, but you can't leave him on waivers right now. He's way better than just chilling out there doing that on waivers, and somebody else in your league will get him. So if you need a PG, go get him. Now, there's another PG that has surfaced on waivers, and let's weigh him against Kyle Lowry and Reggie Jackson. His name is Skylar Mays, and a lot of people, Doc, watching the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast, Skylar frickin' Mays, who is that? Well, he's an LSU guy. He played there with, I believe he was on that team with Naz Reid, and they had the little dude, the point guard. Why is his name escaping me? He's the steel guy. Can't make it in the league. I can't think of his name. But anyway, Skylar Mays, 18 points and 11 assists last night, 2 steals, taking over for Malcolm Brogdon, who was taking over for Scoot Henderson, who was taking over for Anthony Simons. Guys, the Portland backcourt, this is a crazy glut of injury right now. Simon's out for a long time. He had surgery, okay? Scoot Henderson out, God knows how long. And Brogdon just picked up a hamstring last night. We know how these injuries go. So Skylar Mays to the rescue. They did not win the game because Jeremy Grant was missing shots in overtime. He had a fabulous game, but he missed some really important shots deep into overtime. Malik Monk went off late, and Sack got the win. But Skylar Mays here, 18 and 11, 2 steals. And it's Giddey up, Dr. A. Like, there's nobody in his way for playing time. He was over talking with Chauncey Billups a lot. Chauncey's getting him up to speed. Chauncey knows, this is my guy right now. Like it or not, G League or not, this is the guy right now. So give me your priority with Kyle Lowry, Reggie Jackson, and Skylar Mays on waivers.
Well, that's interesting. I think it depends on how deep your league is. Like 12-team leagues, I think these are maybe borderline guys. Like, you got to have somebody on your roster that you want to drop to pick one of them up. I need to see Skylar Mays do that again before I'm going all in. I think I trust Reggie and his minutes a little more than I do Skylar Mays. Plus the Blazers stuff, Shadon Sharp, who is more of a 2 guard, but they were playing him as a 1. But all those injuries in Portland, man, like Malcolm Brogdon, a hamstring injury at his age and his injury history, it's 2 or 3 weeks possibly, on Brogdon. And Brogdon was playing well, so that's kind of sad. Mays is the outlier here because he's young, and those other 2 guys are old. So I am intrigued by Skylar Mays. I'm very intrigued by what he did last night. I think Malik Monk in the same game had a double-double, right? Like
23, 6, and 10. Yeah, he was fabulous.
So you had 2 guys go double-double off the bench in the same game, which hadn't been done since like Jordan and somebody like a long time ago. So that was kind of cool. But I guess if I was going to take a flyer on one of those 3 guys, I'd probably start with Skylar Mays, just because he's young and Portland's so banged up. Portland has nothing to play for. They have no reason not to play Skylar Mays 35 minutes a night.
Mays is the pickup here, guys. I go Mays, then Jackson, then Lowry on waivers right now. He's a talented player. I've seen him play. I mean, he doesn't suck, right? He's not just some ham and egger. Like, he's got some go. He's got some length to him. He was with the Hawks for a minute. And look, I don't know all that much about this guy, but he had 18 and 11 last night, and there's just nobody home. All of these guys are out. 3 1/2s for Portland are out. So, and I like the upside here. I think there's more upside with Skylar Mays. I was saying on NBA radio the other day, Doc, I'm not a floor guy. I'm a ceiling guy. We were debating Bam Adebayo versus Anthony Davis. And if you're a floor guy, then you want Bam. He's got a much higher floor than Davis. Davis has a much higher ceiling, and I'm a ceiling guy. I'm a swing for the fences guy. I'm a grab the dice at the craps table and roll them down the table guy, and not like conservative in that way. So I'd rather go for it with Skylar Mays. I think there's going to be more pop there for you guys. Devin Vassell, Steve, as we talk about the developments of last night in a 14-game NBA slate, it's Rick Kamla, Steve Alexander, the OGs here on the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. What the hell were they doing with Devin Vassell last night with San Antonio? This guy's been a rock star this year. Injured, comes back sooner than I thought, frankly. 12 minutes off the bench. What the hell? Like, Pop said he was going to miss a while, so that was erroneous. Was he even ready to come back if you dipped his toe in the water for 12 minutes? I just didn't get that, Doc. And I'm watching the game last night, right? The Wemby game at the Garden, all this kind of thing. Wemby absolutely wet the bed in the first half last night, and helped his stat line a little bit in the second half. And I see Devin Vassell out there, right? With the he's got the bun on top and kind of the hair sticking out on top, and I'm like, it's like he's one of the only guys in the league that has that look. So I'm like, wait, is that Devin Vassell? Is he back? Did I miss this? And so I see Devin Vassell out there, and then this morning I look at the box score. He played 12 freaking minutes. Can you help me understand what the hell is going on here?
No, not really. It's the new Pop, I guess. The old Pop would have never put Devin Vassell out there.
Good point.
For 12 minutes. The new Pop plays Wemby every night. He plays Devin Vassell when he shouldn't. Yeah, I saw a pregame buzz. Pregame Twitter was alive with Devin Vassell's going to warm up and see if he can go to Devin Vassell warmed up and he is going to go. And then Devin Vassell played 12 minutes of nothing. Spurs are bad. I don't know. I don't know why they played him for 12 minutes, Rick.
All right, so he's got really nothing on that. I just want to let y'all know that I'm rocking some RotoWire swag today here. Shout out to Alan for sending me a swag bag. I love a swag bag, and it's very, very nice stuff. We are the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast, Rick Kamla and Steve Alexander. Let's go to Utah, Steve.
This is the one we probably should have been talking about this in the above point guard discussion, right?
Well, let's add him to the mix here. Keyonte George, the rookie out of Baylor for Utah, first-round pick, played well in the summer league, caught our eye, and coming into the year, had some moments in the preseason as well. Now, there's a funny backstory to this. I just flipped Taylor Horton-Tucker into a really premium asset in the Cam Dynasty. And I was joking with Doc on Twitter. I actually tried to unload Taylor Horton-Tucker on Steve Alexander, and he was not having it, okay? And so I found a member of our league. And I mean, it's not like I heisted or anything. I gave up Clarkson, who had 33 last night, but he's been awful this year. Like, I had to get out on the Clarkson thing, man. And THT and a third-round pick in next year's Dynasty draft. Which really isn't that valuable, to be honest with you. It's a 14-team league, and so you're getting super deep in the weeds in the third round. To me, it's kind of a nothing type of pick. Anyway, THT, Clarkson, and a third for OG Anunoby. And why am I going for OG? Well, fantasy gold, of course. He's 2.5 to 3 threes per game. He's going to be 1.5 to 2 steals per game. Ooh la la! He's a Kamla type of guy. All right. So, and Doc was like, giving me, crap and stuff. And I'm like, you watch me turn THT into something. And it's so funny, Doc, that right after doing that trade, boom, THT's out of the starting lineup and Keyonte George is in the starting lineup. I did not know that. I do not have a direct line to Will Hardy. I didn't even check with David Locke, their great radio announcer, right, to get some insider intel, and I'm very, very good at doing that. I'll reach out to Pete Pranica and all my play-by-play homies, Jason Jackson down in Miami, trying to get the inside scoop on these guys. But that timing worked out just great for your boy Cam. But talk to us about Keyonte George. He didn't really light up the box score last night, Doc. He had 9 assists, but only 7 points in 31 minutes. So where would you stack Keyonte with Lowry, with Jackson, and with Skylar Mays.
Well, it's interesting because the guys in Australia, oh my gosh, Josh, Red Ball.
Why are we talking about guys?
The fantasy guys in Australia, they were hyping up Keyonte George.
Who are they and why do we care? Help me out. Are these the guys that run that league that I bowed out of? Is that who you're talking?
Yes.
Why are you bringing this up? These guys screwed me out of Wemby, and I left the league. Why are you bringing this up, bro?
Because I wrote about it last week in my mailbag column for RotoWire. Everybody was asking questions about Keyonte George, and I'm like, why is everybody asking about Keyonte George? Who is hyping this guy up? I found out it was them. Twitter people. I wrote about it. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not ready to pick him up and stash him just yet, but at least I'm aware that he's eventually going to take over for Taylor Horton-Tucker. And then I had a bunch of Keyonte questions in my mailbag column that I wrote last night that is published today on RotoWire. And it was about Keyonte George and THT. And just like with your trade timing, the timing of that was weird that THT got benched last night. Keyonte George is starting. Like, this is the moment we've been waiting for 2 weeks. Like, to me, I think he's the priority pickup out of all those guys that we talked about. I would go George, then Mays, then Reggie, and then Kyle Lowry at this point. And maybe we got to put the kid Lonnie Walker in there somewhere too, because Cam Thomas got hurt. We're going to talk about that in a second. But Keyonte George, the numbers haven't been that good this year. I looked at the summer league numbers. He must really pass the eye test. I haven't spent that much time watching him, but just based on the fact that Taylor Horton-Tucker is the THT plug has already been pulled, and it's November 8th yesterday. Keyonte George is the guy I want to pick up.
So I agree, because there's more staying power here. Like, this is probably his gig for the rest of the year. And he's probably not going to be a shutdown guy either, right? Because he's so young and needs so much development that he'll probably play after they shut down Clarkson and Markkanen and these guys like they did last year. Utah sucks, okay? They just lost Kessler for a while. They do. I mean, they're going nowhere. They're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. And so Keyonte George is going to get a lot of playing time on a bad team. The efficiency is going to suck. We know this, okay? It wasn't great last night. He was 3 of 8. But there's going to be some raw numbers here, and there's going to be minutes played. I'd like to see him in the 30s, frankly, because you've got Sexton, you've got THT. They're not just going to not play him. And you've got Clarkson as well. So you've got 4 guards for those 2 guard spots. But I would like to see them maybe get Keyonte to 30, drop THT down to 18 as the backup. Chris Dunn still kind of lurks in this mix as well. But there's more upside with Keyonte George, more staying power. So I agree with Steve. I would put him above Skylar Mays as you stack your prioritization with the waiver wire. I want to talk with you here, Steve. Let's add another guy to the mix here. Marcus Sasser, the rookie for Detroit. He's been really good now in 3 of the last 4 games. You've got Jaden Ivey, who's missed, Steve, I believe, 3 games now with that illness. And I'm wondering if there's not something more dramatic going on here, because Jaden Ivey should not be coming off the bench behind Killian Hayes. I think Monty Williams is nuts beyond nuts for how he's doing his starting lineup. He is starting Osar Thompson, so he's the homie for that. But if Bojan comes back and he moves Osar off the bench, I'm going to have a freak show meltdown on NBA radio and perhaps here. But Sasser's been really good. 19, 22, 7, and 26 has been his last 4-game flow. Last night against Milwaukee at Fiserv, he had 26 points, made 11 of 17 shots, and was flexing and making fourth-quarter plays at Milwaukee, okay, in a game where Detroit had it and then let it go at the end. So where do you put Sasser in the mix here with George and with Skylar Mays and all these guys?
Well, before the Mays and George breaks they caught last night, Sasser was the guy. I've been writing about him for the ESPN tip line and the risers and fallers. Like he's been playing well for a couple weeks now, and he's still one of those guys that you don't really hear about because he's in Detroit. you don't hear a lot about him because his name is Marcus Sasser, and like people don't know who that is, but he's been putting up numbers for a couple weeks now, and I've picked him up in a few leagues. I've used him in DFS several times. I wish I would have used less Kelly Olynyk last night and more Marcus Sasser. I'll tell you that. But I like it. And there is something weird going on with Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey should be one of the best offensive players on that team, and they don't like him or they don't use him for whatever reason. And I'm with you. Like, why is Killian Hayes starting over Jaden Ivey and getting all those minutes? So there's something weird about Jaden Ivey in Detroit.
I will tell you exactly what's going on. Monty Williams is coaching a win tomorrow team to win today. That's what's going on here. He does not have a win now team, but he's coaching it like he's got a win now team. Okay. Remember, we were starting Alec Burks over Jaden Ivey. Remember that happened this year. Like, what? What are you doing, bro? And I like Alec Burks. He's a bucket getter off the bench. He could play for me, but not over Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey's a top 5 pick in this league. He and Cade are the backcourt of the future, so we thought. I think Monty Williams is nuts for not starting Jaden Ivey. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. And I would not even be mad at the young fella if he were pissed and having conversations with his agent, to have conversations with the GM, to go over the coach's head. I would not even be mad at Jaden Ivey. This is garbage. And Monty Williams has been talking about, there's no promised minutes here. So what does that mean? Well, maybe there's been a little, maybe Ivey's not playing quite as hard as Monty wants. I mean, here we go with Monty Williams and DeAndre Ayton and all that bull crap, right? Mm-hmm. And so a wash, rinse, repeat now with Monty Williams and Jaden Ivey. It drives me crazy. So I want to tee you up here, Doc, on Cam Thomas here. And you mentioned Lonnie Walker, okay? Lonnie Walker had 21 points in 28 minutes last night. He was the player of the game, okay? Got the walk-off interview. They beat the Clippers in the second game with Harden. It was a whole Lonnie Walker thing, okay? And I'm not buying it. I'm super leaving Lonnie Walker on waivers because I think the next game will be 3, the next game will be 8, the next game will be 19, and then the next game will be 5. And so I just don't trust Lonnie. Sell me on him.
I don't know that I'm going to sell you on him. I know he had a good game last night. I know Cam Thomas went down. We also know that Cameron Johnson still has yet to come back, which that needs to happen soon for them. And somebody else is out for the Nets too, right? Who's the other one?
Nick Claxton.
Claxton and Cameron Johnson are both out. So we haven't even seen the real Nets. Maybe the Cam Thomas train was going to slow down at some point anyway, but I'm very upset as far as my 30 team league goes with losing Cam Thomas last night. He left the arena on some sort of device that allowed him to wheel himself around. And Lonnie Walker had a good game. I think Lonnie Walker is going to play a lot. I think he's going to score some points, but I think it's probably going to be some empty fantasy lines if I had to guess. So I would consider picking up Lonnie Walker. I don't think you need to break your neck to go out and try to make sure you get him. He's sort of a nice ad if he's sitting there kind of guy.
Here's your deal with Lonnie Walker, guys. He's a streamer. Okay, it's a Thursday night. We've got 3 games. I need 15 points and 2 threes. Because I'm a volume accumulator like your wise guys, Doc and Cam. Like, I'm not just sticking with my lineup. You got to go and fetch all those little cherries off the bottom of the tree. It'll add another 60 points and another 12 threes to your weekly total and probably put you over the top. You always got to find those little holes to fill and just keep hitting dudes with volume. And so that's who he is for me. Tuesday night, light night, maybe a 4-game Sunday. There's not a lot going on, and you need that guy to just give you a little bit more. He's a streamer to me. Are you worried about, lastly here, as we go through last night, and obviously there were a bunch of great performances, but, I mean, we're fantasy, all right? We go out into the weeds here, and we're trying to help you off the waiver wire. And how do you win in fantasy basketball leagues? On the fringes, okay? And so that's where we're going to live a lot with these podcasts. But Washington last night, Doc, they got a win at Charlotte, and Wes Unseld basically benched Tyus Jones and Jordan Poole. raising the minutes for DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet, and they were very good, and they got the win. One-game thing, or should we be worried about Tyus Jones and Jordan Poole here?
Well, there was a lot of talk about Jordan Poole winning the scoring title this year and how he was going to get all the shots in Washington. He's averaging like 17 points a game. And then last night happened. And Tyus Jones, nice little fantasy point guard, I think. I don't know that they can bench those guys. I think if you trade Jordan Poole right now, you're letting him go at his lowest point. I don't think you want to mess with Tyus Jones. I don't think you need to trade him. But Jordan Poole has been highly disappointing, and I would be lying if I said I wasn't worried about it. Especially when I bet a Scherzi with my friend Noah that he would score more points a game than Luka. That's not looking very good right now.
You know, I said on NBA radio last year when he was with the Dubs, I said, you get Jordan Poole in the right scenario, he's 25 points per game. That has not aged well for me. It has not. He's 8 points below that right now in a spot, Washington, where he should be able to just do what he wants, freelancing, as maybe even just the number 2 to Kuzma. You should still be able to go out there and get, at least 22 points. Jordan Poole has been a massive disappointment.
And he's getting outplayed by Denny Avdija every night.
I know Denny's your guy. Denny wasn't very good last night, but for the whole year, you are correct, sir.
He's playing well. Hey, Rick, Underdog Fantasy is the #1 platform for NBA best ball and DFS player pick'em contests. If you haven't tried Underdog yet, new Underdog users receive a first-time deposit bonus up to $100 and a free 6-month subscription to RotoWire with promo code, this is different, RWNBA. That's promo code RWNBA. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog app today. Use promo code RWNBA to claim your free RotoWire subscription and deposit bonus. And I can tell you, Rick, that deposit bonus is real because Casey Alexander, my wife, was in a weird mood last night. She's like, what fantasy are you playing? And I was like, I got this Underdog thing going where I bet $5 I can win $410. I picked like a 5-leg just super sleeper thing that did not hit, but it was there. And she's like, I want some of that. So she put $25 in, got the $25 match. She's picking Trae Young unders and stuff. It was pretty funny.
Oh, that's hilarious, man. Shout out to Casey. By the way, all right, Doc, let's get into some players who have exceeded our expectations this year. We'll go back and forth here. Give me one here. It's Cam. It's Doc on the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast.
You want me to give you one that's exceeded?
That's exceeded, and we can, go back and forth here and play a little bit of tennis with this.
All right.
You give one, I'll give one. We'll do it that way.
I'm going to go, there's so many to choose from. I'm going to go with Chet Holmgren. Looks real, thin man, whatever. Putting up big numbers. Wemby's been fun too. Wemby and Chet, I think they are bringing us everything that we had hoped for. Wemby was terrible last night, but we've seen a game where he wasn't terrible at all, and he had this crazy confidence thing going when he had that 38-10 against the Suns, and it's just that is rookie NBA basketball. Both guys are gonna be a little up and down at times, but I think if you drafted Chet Holmgren or you drafted Victor Wembanyama, you're pretty happy with what you got.
There's no question about it, especially in dynasty leagues, man. These guys, look, I've had an epiphany with the body thing. I'm not worried about it. We think about guys like Sean Bradley and these, may he rest in peace, right? And these guys that, their bodies just didn't hold up. It was a different time. You had brutes out there. You had Shaq and Alonzo and these guys, right?
Rick Warren.
Yeah, there's no Shaq. There's no Zoe now, right? Embiid is, probably the biggest, thickest dude, and he kind of sort of lives on the perimeter. Kevin Durant has been just fine, right? Couldn't, bench press 225 or whatever that myth was, and he's a top 20 guy who's ever played the game. So I'm not worried about Chet. I'm not worried about Wemby with the body. I'm not. It's that and you guys know this. Tim Duncan taught us this. when Tim Duncan started taking off weight. And every year towards the end of his career, he'd come back, he'd be skinnier and skinnier and skinnier. Like, my God, dude, eat a hamburger, right? Well, he didn't want to be carrying extra weight. Like Greg Oden, right? Why did Greg Oden blow tire after tire and then leave the league? Because he was too heavy, okay? So being light and being sleek is the way of today's game. So I'm not worried about their bods. Chet Holmgren, 17. He's a guy for me, too, that exceeded expectation. Guys, I thought Chet was going to be good. I really did. I didn't see this. 17, 8, and 3. Okay, I might have seen that. That doesn't shock me. 2.5 blocks. All right, like that's pretty much in line with what I saw. 1 steal per game. Okay, cool. 1.9 threes. Ding. I did not see that, Doc. I did not see Chet Holmgren rocking 2 threes a game. On 56% from 3. He's 56% overall and 90% from the line. He's not 50, 40, 90. He's 55, 55, 90 through 2+ weeks. This has been crazy from Chet. And look, the debate for me is if I went back and redid the 2022 draft, am I still taking Paolo Banchero over Chet Holmgren? I don't know. It keeps me up at night. I love Paolo Banchero. I mean, I freaking love him, okay? But he is not a combination of rim protection and three-point shooting, which I'm absolutely obsessed with. And Chet is. So that's a debate that's going on in my head. That's tennis that's going on in my brain right now. Let me give you a guy. Doc, as we talk about players who have exceeded our expectations here on the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast, Jalen Johnson of your Atlanta Hawks. Jalen Johnson, wow, he just keeps getting better. He's got 3 consecutive games with double-digit rebounds, okay? And I believe we're done with the Saddiq Bey, Jalen Johnson starting lineup yo-yo thing. I think we're done with that, okay? Jalen Johnson's going 14 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.3. I didn't write it down here. I think that's steals. I think he's just below a block per game. He's right around a 3 per game. He's looking PJ Washington-ish with better rebounding. He's also looking John Collins-ish. He's shooting 58% from the field, 32% on threes, and that will come up, and he's 63% from the line. So we've got some efficiency issues there, but dang. Is he the sleeper of the year, Doc? I mean, he kind of is for me. Like, I mean, he's been he was a sort of preseason, let's see where we're going with this. And now, I mean, I can't get him out of my lineup in the Cam Dynasty. So Jalen Johnson has greatly exceeded my expectations.
Me too. And he passes the eye test. Like when you watch the Hawks play, he looks like the best player on the court, not named DeJounte and Trey. And he's running the floor so much. Yeah, like you compare him to those big guys. What's his face? The guy, John Collins,
PJ Washington.
And PJ Washington. Those are like big guys, but they don't run the floor like Jalen Johnson does.
Great
Jalen
point.
Johnson is trailing behind Trey and DeJounte, and they're feeding him these lobs and alley-oops, and he's having a nightly dunk show for us on Valley Sports. And if Saddiq Bey wasn't around right now, Jalen Johnson would be talked about all over the league. But he's not getting quite enough minutes to take that next step. But I think they're coming. So I love Jalen Johnson, and he's somebody I didn't draft in a single league. But as soon as I started watching the Hawks play real games this year, I was like, this guy's real. He's going to be awesome.
All right, so we're both digging what we're seeing from Jalen Johnson. Give the people here on the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast, Steve Alexander, another player who's exceeded your expectations.
I'm going to do that, but first I'm going to tell you about Rival Fantasy. LeBron versus Jordan, Magic versus Bird, Barkley versus McHale. Basketball synonymous with legendary player rivalries. They make the game more fun and give fans the storylines that raise the stakes every time those players meet on the court or come up in conversation. Now, every player, matchup, and head-to-head debate can be settled on Rival Fantasy. This NBA season, you can play challenges where you decide which NBA player will score more fantasy points in their next game. Play the Rival Fantasy in-house challenges or create your own. Get a friend in the mix with customizable social challenges. Sign up at joinrival.com/RotoWire now and get a $200 deposit match. It's time to step up to the challenge on Rival Fantasy. See you in the arena. Rick, Dennis Schroder as they say. Journeyman, Dennis Schroder, my guy. We saw this coming into the season when Fred VanVleet went to Houston. You take a look at Toronto's depth chart and like who is going to play point guard for this team. And there was only one name there, and it's Dennis Schroder. He has been awesome for them, and he's been awesome for fantasy. The numbers have not gone away. He might even be getting better as the season advances. And I'm not going to say it's a huge shock or a huge surprise, but he's playing better than I thought he would, and I thought he was going to play well. So he's been pretty awesome.
Schroder is on my list as well. 6th in assists in the NBA at 8.4 per game. 17, 3, and 8 basically is his 3-cat line. 1.1 steals, 2 threes. He's been fabulous, and he's not been an efficiency guy every year of his career. He has been this year. 47 field, 40 from 3, and he's been absolutely fantastic. Doc, we got some people in here that want to bounce questions off of us, so let's field some of these right now.
Here, hold on. Which one do you want to do? I'm going to throw it up on the screen.
Ian Solis here on thoughts on Jalen Green and Scoot Henderson, and that is pretty slick what you did right there. I like that a lot. So on Scoot, I mean, he's hurt, right? I mean, you just put him on IL, and he's going to come back. And you think, I mean, I guess, you think of Scoot now with Simons out and Brogdon popped a hamstring last night. How long is he going to be out? So Scoot may be really ready for takeoff when he comes back from that ankle, whenever that is. Now, in terms of who is the other player that Jalen Green. Okay, Jalen Green is a buzzkill in fantasy. And last night he was not, all right? Lakers were in town. He had 28, 7, and 3, made 11 of 15 shots in 21 minutes. But therein lies the truth, because he only took 15 shots on a heater night, and he only played 21 minutes. Now, it was a blowout. The Houston starters all played in the 20s last night. But you look, Doc, coming into last night's game, all 5 starters, who are all very good, were averaging between 14 and 18 points. It's a clear setup by Ime Udoka here. We are not, here to have one guy score 25 a game. We are here to collectively do this, have everybody eat, and when everybody eats, everybody defends, and everybody does the dirty work and all the little things that that players get entitled about when they're not getting shots. Well, if you're eating, you're defending. And so I think that's the formula here. So, Doc, whereas we might have thought that Jalen was going to go, from 20 to 22 to 24 or 5 this year, he's at like 19 right now. And I don't see a whole lot of upside here. This isn't like a slow start and he's going to get it cooking. No, you've got Brooks, you got VanVleet, you got Jabari Smith, and you got Sengun. I just think there's too many mouths to feed here.
Yeah, and Dylan Brooks, until the last game, was putting up huge numbers. Another surprising guy. And I think we all wondered, are VanVleet and Dylan Brooks going to work? Apparently it does. And it's bad news for Jalen Green. Like, Jalen Green is not on an island by himself, allowed to take as many shots as he wants. Like you said, they're spreading the ball around, trying to play team basketball, trying to make everybody, trying to turn that thing into a true team. And that's bad news for Jalen Green. I'd rather he was on an island and allowed to just do whatever he wants, but it's not the case.
It's not the case. So let's go to another question here by Guilford Wong. Trade Poole for Beal. Oh, man.
Didn't that just happen in real life?
It kind of did. I think Chris Paul was involved there somewhere too. I don't want either. I don't want either. If I am so out on Bradley Beal, like I couldn't be more out. Like I'm out on Bradley Beal, like I'm out on Kyrie. Who else? Brandon Ingram, D'Angelo Russell. Like these are not my guys. James Harden. These are not my guys. Okay. Ironically, I have Harden and Beal on my team in Cam Dynasty, my favorite team of all my teams, and it is what it is. I mean, I tried to trade Beal. I canvassed the entire league for Bradley Beal, and I did not ask for a lot in return for Bradley Beal. Crickets, man. your trade has been declined. Your trade has been declined. It's like, okay, I guess I'm just stuck with Bradley Beal here. Woo! 13, 4, and 4 last night in 24 minutes on. So you know how this is going to go. He's not going to play back-to-backs. Oh, my God, the horror. Minutes restriction. I'm so done with Bradley Beal, dude. If I had to pick, I would take Jordan Poole just because I'm more done with Beal than I am with Poole.
I'm exactly the same. I'm not. I have not been a Beal guy ever, and I call my golf buddy John Utterback. Sometimes I call him Johnny One Putt, and I like to call Bradley One Leg. It's just he's done. I think he's cooked. I think Jordan Poole right now. I don't know that you want to trade Jordan Poole right now because I feel like you're selling low on Jordan Poole. Poole he's got to get better than he's been. So I think Rick and I are both in agreement that we are not trading Jordan Poole for Bradley Beal.
Guilford Wong also asked us, should we be trading Randle? ? His shooting is horrific. Look, Julius Randle, the last couple of games has been very, very good. Last night he was awesome, 23, 16, and 5. I'm a Julius Randle guy. I know there's going to be bad nights. I know he's going to have bad decision-making that leads to Nick losses. But damn, he's a 25, 10, and 5 guy. And there are like 5 of them in the NBA right now. So I'm a Julius Randle guy, hanging in there with him. I would not trade him. Doc, how about you?
I mean, you can't shoot it this poorly all year, right? He's gonna be better. I think again, if we're trading Randle right now, you're selling low, and that's not what you want to do in the stock market or in fantasy sports. You want to sell high. So I don't think it's a great time to be trading Julius Randle. And Rick, if you are looking for another outstanding performer that's exceeded expectations this year, I'm going to throw. I was stealing all the guys off your list, so I'm going to throw Alperen Sengun out there because Alpy has been pretty awesome. Is Alpy on your list too?
No, he's honestly kind of doing what I thought he was going to do. I mean, he's been fabulous, but this is kind of what I saw, right? About 17 points, about 8 boards, about 4 assists. Like he's in. Steve, this is interesting because this goes back to my scouting of Sengun in the pre-draft process. He reminded me of Domantas Sabonis. His great hands, great footwork. He's really smart and crafty and clever in the paint and around the rim. He's a good playmaker. You can run offense through him. And I saw all of this looking at film of him playing for Besiktas or whatever damn team he was on. But he gave me Sabonis vibes in the pre-draft process. And is he giving you Sabonis vibes when you watch Sengun and when you look at his stat lines?
Yes, and he's gotten increasingly better with each season also. And like it's noticeable from season 1 to season 2 to season 3. I drafted him. I drafted a lot of shares of Sengun. So I thought it was going to happen. And I'm just glad that he's living up to the hype. Like he's certainly doing everything we could have asked for and a little bit more, I'd say. Rick, the NBA season is here. As we know, it's November 9th. We're deep into this thing. We had 14 games, 28 teams in action last night. On behalf of our friends at Vivid Seats, let's get one thing clear. Nothing beats seeing your favorite team crush it on the court to the sound of thousands of screaming fans. Every dunk, dribble, and every heart-pounding play of your favorite team live and in person. And because Vivid Seats is the only ticketing company where you can earn rewards on every purchase, you can score amazing deals and unrivaled annual rewards all season long. Plus, with a 100% buyer guarantee, you can be sure your ticket will be as legit as your love for the game. Visit vividseats.com or download the app today and use promo code RotoWire for $20 off your first $200 purchase. That's promo code RotoWire, $20 off your first $200 ticket purchase. Download the app or visit vividseats.com. Vivid Seats. Experience it live.
That's Steve Alexander. I'm Rick Hamlin. We're the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast, and we are about out of time here. Guilford Wong, Doc says, thanks, Doc. Thanks, Rick. Fantasy OGs, miss your show on NBA TV. Guilford, thank you for that. God bless you, man. I appreciate that. I want to talk, obviously here about some players who have fallen short of our expectations, and I want to merge it with a question here from, I believe it's Fork 3. And look at me, I just popped it up. He says, it's sometimes I get this technology thing right. He says, what do you guys think about Josh Giddey and Jabari Smith in 9 cat? What do you think is expected? So for Jabari Smith, again, it's back to the Jalen. I mean, are we happy with Fred VanVleet's numbers? I promise you VanVleet managers are not happy with his numbers, right? Again, we're spreading the wealth in Houston now. So what you're getting from Jabari Smith is what you're going to get from Jabari Smith. And that was my expectation coming into the year. I did not see a pop year from Jabari. Now, Josh Giddey, Doc, is a player, maybe the number one player for me who is falling short of my expectations. His points are down from 16.6 to 12.1, 7.9 rebounds to 5.9, 6.2 assists to 4.5, 48% field down to 40, 33 from 3 down to 24% from 3. And minutes have gone from 31 to 28 because he's playing like such garbage that Mark Daigneault is going with some other guys now. Okay, Josh Giddey has been a nightmare from my vantage point, and I'm not invested in him because I just saw too many dudes. Jalen Williams, Chet, SGA, Dort. No, it's too many guys. I didn't see a massive statistical year here from Giddey, who last year was 16, 8, and 6, like a Ben Simmons really fat stat line. We're not getting that. We're getting 12, 6, and 5 right now. Ew.
Well, I was worried about Jalen Williams getting enough run this year. That has not been a problem. Jalen looks pretty awesome. And I think the fact that Jalen is playing well, Chet's playing well, Lou Dort, we haven't talked about Lou Dort, but I mean, out of all the guys we talked about today, he's the one I've been picking up off the waiver wire in most leagues. 36 minutes last night, 3 triples, 2 steals, 3 blocks. Big minutes every night. He had a hip injury. He played through it. And then there's Giddey. You know, those other starters are all getting 30-plus minutes a night. Giddey's got 25, shot 4 of 11. Kind of filled the stat sheet a little bit, but yeah, he's been weird. And he's, you know, the thing is, the Thunder are 5-3. The Thunder nobody is going to want to see that team in the playoffs, right? No one. And Giddey knows that he doesn't need to have the ball in his hands all the time to be great on that team, to be their general and just kind of hold things down while SGA is scoring 40 a night and getting to the bucket whenever he wants. And Jalen Williams and Chet and Dort are firing up. Like, there's so many weapons on that team. Giddey is going to be more like a true point guard that just kind of runs the offense and stands back and watches it all happen. So I don't think he's going to be a focal point of their offensive training.
Give the people a last word here, Doc A, before we get out of here. You want to give them a player that's fallen short of expectations, tell them where to read your stuff, whatever. The floor is yours, brother.
I'll be writing. My mailbag should be up on RotoWire right now. Thanks for all the questions on Twitter. And then I've got my risers and fallers hitting ESPN tomorrow. That's been a big column over there at ESPN Fantasy. So if you play fantasy hoops at ESPN, it should show up right in your app, whatever, tomorrow. And then last night was crazy, man. So many games. Giannis got ejected. Did you see the Giannis ejection?
I got to dig into that a little bit. I saw that it was pretty garbagey from what I saw. I got to look. Porzingis got a tech last night for hanging on the rim when Horford hit him in the head from behind on the dunk attempt. It's like he's not showing anybody up. He's trying not to die. Okay, so you just hit a nerve with me, dude. And I saw Jackson Hayes the other night for the Lakers. Now, he did do a pull-up on the rim, okay, but he also had a guy around him. I'm like, let it go. Why are we tacking these guys to that?
And Giannis stared down the dude for like a second and a half. Like, it was just like, and then he turned around to walk away, and they're like, bam. And he got his second tech. He's gone. The people that are paying money to go watch Giannis play and spending $1,000 and taking their kid down there, for that to happen, man, it's BS, and it needs to stop. With that, Rick, are you done? Do you have anything you need to plug? Hype?
We're out, man.
You got your swag, your RotoWire swag on.
Yes, sir. I'll be on NBA Radio later today, 2:00 Eastern time at the great Antonio Daniels. So if you want to follow me over there or just stay put, we've got a ton of great content for you here on RotoWire. So for Dr. A, I'm Cam. We'll see you next week, guys, at 11 a.m. Eastern time, right here, same spot on the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Peace.